Scott, Bellator 258 coming up tomorrow night. We just had the weigh-ins here. Juan Archuleta, Sergio Pettis. Give me your thoughts on the main event at bantamweight there.
Well, that's going to be a fight that I think is going to be a lot of fast action, a lot of fast transition work. I think you can see some great wrestling. I think you see some great striking. These guys have the complete package of today's modern mixed martial artists. So I'm expecting a great fight. And honestly, I think it's going to be a fight that I think is a toss-up. I think this could go either way, depending on who gets there first.
And the co-main event, I mean, it's great when you have a good fight like that, top the card, but when you have a supporting act that gets everybody talking too, the return of Rumble Johnson, the physique, man, on the scales, I think surprised a lot of people this morning.
Yeah, he's in great shape, and he did his part. He's ready to go. I think he's mentally there. He told me he's so ready just to perform. And I got to give Jose credit for taking the fight on short notice, especially to fight a guy like Rumble on short notice. But he comes from a tough camp, and those Pitbull brothers, man, that camp, they're beasts. So this guy's afraid of nobody. I just think he's going to have his hands full fighting Rumble on a short notice like this.
Yeah, he's a pretty badass guy. But the flip side of that, we did lose Yoel Romero from this card. Can you kind of just walk me through that whole thing? I know we heard he had an eye injury. He has to reapply for clearance in 3 months. I mean, how serious is this? Are you concerned at all about his fighting future with Bellator?
Well, the thing is, I'm not concerned that he won't be fighting with us in the future. It's just going to be a matter of when. And exactly the whole process of, like the medical HIPAA laws and things like that, you're going to have to talk to his manager about, exactly what happened. And but we're looking forward to having him back. And could it be several months or 3? Who knows? But when he's ready, we'll bring him back in. Unfortunately, he won't be part of the tournament now because this is his window of opportunity. But we do have some great fights for him, and especially if you go back and fight at 185, we have Gegard there waiting for him, and we have other fighters at 185, and then he could fight the winner of the tournament at one point, or there's gonna be a lot of great fights for him ahead. But it worked out the way it worked out. But I'm excited for tonight. I think we're having some great fights.
And I know in the press release for Yoel's injury, you said that the wording was interesting. It said it was postponed. His fight against Rumble will happen in the future. Are you guys optimistic that at some point, maybe it's not in the next 6 months or something, but it will happen for fans?
It might not be in the tournament, but that's a fight I want to see personally. So that's one of the reasons why we signed the fight. Actually, is that this is a fight that the fans want to see. And so we will deliver the fight. It'll just be in the near future.
Yeah, and one of the other highlights of this week is not even somebody that's fighting on this card. One of the first people I heard when I got here was Burt Watson back. How did this all come together? I think it surprised a lot of people, kind of out of left field, but the fighters loving it, man.
You know what? I'll tell you, not just the fighters, but our staff. And he just injects a certain amount of energy, into the arena, into the back rooms and the catacombs of the buildings, and get these guys fired up. And I'll tell you exactly how it happened, because we're fighting in a closed environment, right? So it has a different feel to it. Everybody's working in a closed environment. The weigh-ins are in a closed environment, so it's it's a very different feeling than having a fight that's with audience, and weigh-ins with audience. It's just a different energy. And I go, we got to find somebody that's going to pump this place up, And then this is not the story. This is a true story. Then he calls me, and I'm looking at my phone. I go, it's Burt. I go, that's the guy. We got to bring Burt in here, because I got a chance to work with him a little bit when Strikeforce, when we sold to the UFC, and I'm like, hey, I got Burt. Where you been, Burt, for the last 2 years? And so. We have one of our ops guys that he's on, like his wife's having a baby, so he's on maternity leave, and so Burt will be here for a couple months. But listen, I'm loving this energy, and so we might just continue having Burt here for all the fights if he wants to do it. But he said, hey, let me try it for a couple months, see how I feel. But man, he pumps it up. I felt like I drank 3 espressos before I got here.
For sure, man. All the fighters glowing reviews. I think a couple of them said he was my favorite part of being in the UFC. Rumble said that to me. So. Definitely a different energy here, a good addition. A couple of welterweights I want to talk to you about on this card. MVP. How nice is it to have him back in the mix and kind of have his whole, he's obviously a very promotable guy for you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, MVP is one of my personal favorites in the league here. And he does things that a lot of fighters can't do. And that's what I love about him. And, he's from a martial arts background, which I love. And, he's a a very diversified athlete, and he could fight at any level here. Believe me, he fought Douglas Lima. It didn't work out for him, but he was one of the few guys that caught Lima early that I actually hurt him. And Douglas told me that. He says, "Hey, when he hit me, he surprised me, and he actually hurt me. So, don't take this guy's power lightly because he can get there quick and explosive. And like I said, he does the stuff he does in the cage. I just haven't seen other people do. So, really excited about MVP and this fight with Anderson. We've been trying to put together for probably 2 years now, and for whatever reason, this or that, or availability, or it just never worked out. But now that we're finally here, and whoever wins this fight definitely will advance another step closer to the title fight, which I think everybody knows that Lima's fighting on June 11th, and so he's got his hands full. And then whoever wins that maybe fights the winner here, and that'll be the next fight. Not committing to it, but it's looking that way as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen it, but recently he's kind of expressed some frustration about getting fights and some of the promotion stuff. He went on his podcast and was talking about. He said the same thing to me when I spoke to him yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that's something you guys will be able to work out here when after his fight?
Yeah, I mean, I already talked to him last night actually, and I said, I think that we should probably have a direct line of communication because, the agents get involved, and then he lives in London, and we're trying to, and then. It's just a trying to get the communication wasn't flowing like in a straight line, let's say, and yeah, you need agents and you need fighter relations people on our side, and I thought things were like he was happy and he's ready to fight, and that wasn't the case. So I heard him out, and he had some very good points and things that we're going to work on, and I'm not worried about MVP being happy because he's somebody that is a big star for us. We have had a long relationship together. And fighters get disgruntled sometimes, right? Look at football players get disgruntled. Look at Aaron Rodgers; he doesn't want to play for the Green Bay Packers anymore. I mean, it's just how it is. When you have the production side and you have the talent side, they don't always see eye to eye, and that's just how business is. Whether it's the entertainment business or it's the movie business or sports business or MMA business, sometimes the talent and the production of the company, have things to work on, and so. I feel like we had a really good conversation, and we're on the same page, and we're just going to move forward from here.
Another welterweight, Lorenz Larkin. We haven't really seen him or heard from him. He kind of disappeared for a while, and at that time, he was being floated as maybe the next welterweight challenger. Where does he fit in? He kind of told me yesterday. He's like, "Yeah, I'm taking this fight at middleweight. I don't know where I fit in the title anymore. That I would have to ask you." So
it's just activity. I mean, listen, Lorenz can fight anybody. He's one of those guys on any given day. I think he could beat all these guys. But we just want to keep him busier. So hopefully, if things work out for him, then we'll get him back quicker and get him back in the mix right away. But he has his hands full too. I mean, it's a replacement. But Carvalho's fought a lot of guys. He's very seasoned. And let's see what Lorenz can do at 185. It's going to be interesting.
And a couple more for me, just moving away from this event. The European Series is something I get asked a lot about, and I know that your roster had been cleaned up a little bit with some of the European guys from that series that were even coming off win streaks. So, is the European Series just something you guys are tabling for now? Like, or kind of just give me an update
well,
there.
We're making plans right now.
Yeah.
To basically start that ball again, but it's tough because when you're talking about travel bans and COVID restrictions and things like that make it very difficult for us to move as a company and go produce fights, elsewhere in the planet. That's an issue. But I do see light at the end of the tunnel now because it seems like the COVID's falling off and the vaccine's working and things are really calming down. And so when things are calming down in California and the California government and the state and the local health departments are saying, okay, you can now be at what they call it yellow tier, which is probably one of the least restricted, which means you can go and eat at restaurants now, and you could act, it feels kind of like normal again, honestly. You go to the movies again, you could work out at gyms again. And when California is saying that means that I think it's heading in the right path. So hopefully in a matter of months, we'll get the green light to start traveling again. And we're going to re-engage in many cities in Europe and in Asia probably too.
And then domestically, I know you guys are here for May and June, but after, do you guys have any sort of timeline when you maybe will go on the road here in the U.S., start holding shows with fans, West Coast, Texas, Florida?
We're working on a plan to do fights here with fans here in this building. So I think by the June fights, like June 11th fight, I believe that we will have the ability to have a limited amount of fans. I think the number was like 2,500 or 3,000. So we'll start with that, and then the number will go up from there. But we are looking at other venues to promote in the different parts of the country, and for everywhere that we want to go, we have to apply a protocol to the company, and it's quite a process, and we're in the process of doing that. But I think that by, let's say, by August, September, we definitely, I think, will be on the road somewhere else, and also promote fights here as well. So to me, this has been a great home, because when we were all shut down, this has worked out almost like a soundstage. It's like a private arena, and they've been very good to us. So it's worked out, but it's time to go and be in the ticket selling business and start promoting Bellator the way it's used to being promoted.
It's great, man. I know a lot of people here in New England will be excited to be able to see some live fights again. So phenomenal. And just two more for me. Featherweight Grand Prix, any sort of update on the very highly anticipated Patricio versus AJ McKee fight?
Yeah, so, I mean, we're talking probably, the exact date hasn't been picked, but it's going to probably be sometime in mid-July.
Gotcha. Great. And then the last one for me, I do have to bring it up because he did kind of bring up your organization a little bit, was Diego Sanchez had kind of a fallout with the UFC. And the way he kind of let people know that he was no longer with them was he said he tagged Bellator on Instagram, he tagged Bare Knuckle, a bunch of organizations. So I didn't know if you've been following that storyline, if you have any thoughts on his free agency.
Well, I know that he's not with the company anymore, and I just really been focusing on the fights, but I'm sure that my guys are aware of it, but I'm not sure what his status is as far as whether they're talking to him or not.
Gotcha. Actually, one more. I got to ask you about
Sure.
Fedor. Any sort of update on him?
Yeah, I do have an update, but I can't tell you what the update is.
Soon?
That's the only thing. Soon.
Okay.
Coming soon. But you could probably put sometime in October, November on the books, and that's kind of the time frame we're looking at, and it's going to be a great event. And we're talking to several people about the opponent, so the opponent's not been locked in yet. Hopefully, we'll have that soon.